Yeah, so you have your local and then have, that's what she gives it better.
Hey, Scott, how are you?
That season starts, right? You'd actually go now, yeah, that's excited. Yeah.
That would be no.
Yeah, why we bring down somebody else. Kind of. You did.
Something to about a year.
Band over.
Saturday night. Oh.
They used to do a tractor side in front of our house.
Oh, last water.
I think it'd be good.
You had last week and you have same week.
Would it 5 p.m. start time Friday? Because it's May or what you do? I don't know, you get the spectator.
And you water, we can bring up at home.
Just started at 6, right?
We did, we'll have daylight. So I did longer daylight.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
First, I thought maybe the bridge was no.
Oh, that's good. I mean, that's not, if you didn't, so you'd have basically.
That time.
And we're just not like you're gonna get 42 hot cars or something, you know, like if you have a class, because I might see some better to hear. What's all that's fun.
Thank you. Yeah, no, twisted deer.
They're spread with them, but like, I'll just have that mess out there. Because they're close to it. So. They, regardless, you at least have it, you still have treatment. That's what I feel from launching. Work that state starts and they'll give it 3 weeks to make the two engine.
Good. I'd like to call this meeting of the Richland County Fair Committee to order at 5:03 PM on Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025 in the Richland County Boardroom. Is there proof of notification?
Yes.
And I would entertain a motion to approve a 12-point agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Julie Fleming. Is there a second? Seconded by Sandy Campbell. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of our previous minutes. Motion out there for our last meeting that we had in what was that? October.
I so move.
Motion by Sandy. Is there a second? Second by Scott Gall. All those in favor say aye. Approved. Motion carries. All right. Agenda item number 5, public input. Is there any public input? Hearing no public input, we move on to agenda item number 6, our financial reports.
Okay, so for the rest of the year, because I don't know how January is doing, but not much. But the rest of the year, we were off budget a little bit, but a lot of that was because of all the renovations we've had to make and all of that fun stuff and like, yeah, new fire extinguishers and everything, so. Otherwise, it's been here, yay.
Any questions on the financial reports? Okay. Agenda item number 7, we get the Hub City dirt drags.
Did you email that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you passed this along, Erica. It is in our package, so
Okay.
whoever has their things on them has that on there.
Okay, sounds good. So we're just coming back. We obviously missed the October meeting as like a recap because we were just collecting our pieces also. And then there wasn't a November and December meeting. So we wanted to just touch base with the board and get any feedback from this board, positive, negative, things that could be adjusted or things that seemed like they worked really well in the community. We would like the opportunity to bring both the May event and the October event back to the Richland Center Fairgrounds. Lyrica and Brian and the whole, like everybody was really great to work with. So it was a big learning curve for us in a different space, just utilizing all of the spaces. But the team here was super helpful, so we would like the opportunity to bring that May 9th and 10th, following a similar format as we did in October, where we're gonna do a poll on Friday night, a test and tune, and then Saturday with the ATV, UTV, truck, car races, being more like our grassroots event, more like local racing with ATVs and kids races, and then that truck show and shine on the backside of the grandstands. We would be working with Southwest Pullers again, not necessarily using their pulling classes, but Chris helped us get the labor to run the polls, and the classes, yeah, safely and organized. So we felt like that was really good. And then a similar format in October. So in this sheet, we're just asking really to do the same thing that we did in October, with the same pricing structure. So the event in October was a big learning curve for us. I think it was, in our perspective, the event was super good. The public feedback was really good. We were super happy working with all of the safety, like local EMS, fire, and obviously your groups. Financially, we have some things we need to work out as far as attendance and gates and things like that. So, but we really do want to continue to work this event to see if we can get the attendance increased and obviously benefit our organization and the whole area. We did have the opportunity today. We went to see several local businesses and just get feedback from them on ways that we can be more immersed in the community and represent the events here and get more feedback and buy-in locally to support everybody. So I'm open to feedback if anybody has anything that they'd like to share with us about the events.
Dates in October being 10th and 11th.
Correct, yep. So they're Friday, Saturday events.
And then it'd be May 9th and 10th, so Mother's Day weekend.
And I think in October, we had the fairgrounds from Wednesday through Monday, but we were pretty much cleaned up on Sunday. We did have I think the ice truck and some semis got picked up on Monday, but.
How do you feel about it, Josh?
I feel pretty good about it from everything that I worked with you on. Everything went smooth. Everybody was really good to work with. There was no safety concerns, no catastrophic events. Everything went real smooth. The cleanup was done excellently. And you guys made proper use of the grounds and didn't oversert yourselves by any means possible. So I am very happy with how it went.
Thank you for that. Brian was definitely good work.
He was.
Yeah.
We probably won't have to utilize him as we learned lots of things oh, all these breakers shut off these trailers. We had some vendors who lost food. So we learned things that, but he was fantastic to have on site, but hopefully we won't have to utilize those resources as much in the future.
I think it definitely can be something great for the community, drawing, people in kind of similar to what Four Seasons of Funds used to bring in for the tourism bit. And I think it could only grow, and the facility offers a lot, and I feel that it could be a good thing.
Yeah, does anybody else have any?
Do you have enough volunteers?
That's definitely something that we'd like to utilize. So we met with Christy at Sunshine Cafe because last year we were Sunshine. Yeah, we asked to be part of the chamber, and at that time she was like, the chamber's kind of dormant right now because they had lost their helper. So we are gonna join the chamber just so we can get to some of the events in the community because we tried to work with some of the school groups, but it was homecoming and Ithaca and football and school had just started. So if we get these dates secured now, we can start working with the schools and the Boaz Barrel Club bartended for us. That was fantastic. But we would love to get more of those community groups involved because we want our event to be a positive impact for them. And part of the volunteer gig was that if you volunteered even for one shift, then you would get a wristband for the whole weekend. So you could come and attend.
So that was a good buy.
And then we gave the clubs chat calls.
A donation.
So yeah, we definitely would love some more volunteers.
So
We kind of had it broke out, we had parking volunteers, we had ticket takers, we had bartenders, so everybody knew when they were supposed to be there. Their group worked from X amount of time and, they came to the Red Shed, which was a fantastic little asset, and checked in and so.
But we're definitely looking for more, so if you.
More, yes.
Yeah, I mean, we can never have enough, it doesn't seem like, so, and we have something for all age groups, from youth to olders,
Any other feedback or things that could have been improved?
Concerning. It went pretty well. I mean, we enjoyed it, spectators really enjoyed it, so the EMS and stuff that was out there, you know, they had positive feedback. They liked how we ran the event. They didn't say that what we were doing was out of line or really dangerous. They felt that we had a bunch of safety precautions in place, you know, about as safe as we can get it to be, so.
And the facility dictates a lot of that.
Did you have enough accommodation for all parking? Because I know that was some area of concern right towards the event. We were worried about having enough space and transportation, parking spot.
Yeah,
We had plenty.
and that would, you know, and that was great. You know, we started to mow that piece up the road. I feel that potentially in May, it still might be a wise thing to do. I would rather have it mowed. I mean, and it's nice when it's mowed, but I'd rather have it mowed and be prepared than all of a sudden, shoot, we got to park cars up there and we can't because of the fire hazard. So if it is okay, obviously we'll check and get sooner, but about mowing that for the May event, because May tends to be a larger spectator crowd because it's more of a grassroots and it's more of a regional. The October one's more national. We brought in people from all over the country. This event is more based out of like your local 4-hour radius. It's usually a lot larger because you have a lot more youth classes and stuff like that, you know, something that everybody can participate in. So yeah, that is one thing that we'd probably look at utilizing again.
And we don't really know what the spring looks like in a bigger facility with the, like in the fall, we have bigger rigs, but in the spring, there'll be more of them, more trucks and trailers and ATVs, and that takes up, I mean, in Hub, at least that took up.
It took up a lot of
A lot of
space, but it don't
space.
take much to take up a lot of room in Hub, but it was definitely larger in May. So being the new facility, we're definitely learning a lot. I would just say that we're going to anticipate, you know, some more. And, you know, being the first event this October, that might have hurt some numbers and it wasn't a small turnout by any means. We had a fantastic turnout. I mean, the full Friday night was huge. The races were big Saturday. Just a little rain cloud that we got Saturday kind of deterred people a little bit and yeah. And then homecoming, which
Yeah.
that was.
And I think the space is just so much larger than we're used to working with. So we had a bigger spectator crowd, but it didn't, maybe I also did not believe that nobody will go sit in the grandstands in Richland Center, but that is the case.
Yeah, if you just don't like to sit over there, it don't seem like, and you know, coming into the event, I've been to previous events here and it always seemed that way. I don't know if it's just, I don't know why, but,
They want to
Yeah.
be in the pits where the action is.
yeah, and I don't know why, but we're still gonna utilize both. We wanna continue to utilize that and kind of push the youth spectators to that side. We charge for children on the pit side, which we're discussing that we're still gonna do the same to kind of encourage the families with the little ones to stay on the grandstand side just for safety. Cause a lot of these Poland rigs and stuff, you know, they're quite large and seeing small children running around, you know, it's just a safety precaution that we're taking and it seems to work out really well. If the parents want to bring them over, they can, they just have to pay for them and, yeah. But,
So I think the thing that we're just specifically asking is that the fee structure stay the same for this year as we continue to like get our feet underneath us. I know when I spoke to Lyrica, she said, like for sure for the spring, but maybe it would go up in the fall. And we'd really like to get both dates secured at the same pay structure, their fee structure that we had in place for last year. So we can really get our feet underneath us and grow the event.
and in the attachment, she had that. Now, the one thing, so that building, Josh, we rented that, I don't even know what you guys call it, but over by where the stage is at, the art building. We had leased that in case of Friday night, there was rain, we'd at least have a place to do a band to kind of entertain the people that are staying the night. I don't know if we were charged for that in October,
Yeah, I
but
know.
either way, it wasn't a big deal, but I was just curious if that's an option, like if we lease the building, but then if it's not used at all, like if we don't have to pay that. Not that it's a big expense, I was just something I wanted to ask, cause like we didn't use it the last time, but we would like to rent it in case. But then they had rabbits there on Sunday, I think.
So I'm pretty sure that the way I did it is that by that point, it's cheaper, rather than doing both the grandstand area and that area separately, it was cheaper to just give you guys the entire
Okay.
fairgrounds.
Got it.
Okay,
Then you don't have to worry about that, then you also have the parking and then everything on that, it's basically,
So we're
it's
not
all
like
yours to
piecemeal
do.
here.
And you can try to deal with that as well. We only charge you guys for the days you are running the event and not the build up or takedown after that.
Perfect, that's what we want then. So that sounds good. I just, something I wanted to clarify, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so
Perfect.
that's our, we're hoping to get, an answer soon, so we wanna like officially release the dates, but we wanna make sure that we're under contract, with the facility, so.
That you guys are like happy. that-
Yeah, everything's tidied up.
I don't know. Whatever you guys think, yeah, I mean,
Are you gonna need the same resources that we did in the fall as far as like from fire EMS?
I feel that
Hours?
so won't have the dyno in the fall, so I don't know if we'll necessarily need that truck, the fire on hand. What's that?
One of the dial spread.
Yeah, yeah, and we won't have, we don't have the dyno. So I don't feel that we need the fire truck there. The ambulance is definitely something that we like to have. And then I don't say law enforcement here, but a law enforcement officer was nice to have on grounds just because they're, you know, if there's any issues, you know, they can handle it a lot better than anybody else.
Especially in the spring, because it is a more youthful event and there's like more energy, so it's nice to have somebody, just a presence to.
Yeah, with a badge. Some of these kids nowadays can be kind of disrespectful. So, but yeah, so as far as that goes, I don't think we need the fire truck. And then we may look at some fire extinguishers that are better for alcohol that we have recently discovered. It sounds like a lot of that TPA, like the big Pullman organizations have gone to it. Yeah.
But similar, yes, like we'll make sure that we have all the safety.
Did you get good feedback, Scott? Like, I mean, we never heard anything bad, but did,
No, I was just curious, as far as resources and.
yeah, I didn't know if your guys said anything. I mean, I think we only had to utilize them once. The truck, the brakes got a little hot, but that was anticipated beforehand. The driver let them know that the brakes would potentially catch on fire, so, and they did.
So what's needed from us?
Well, what you need to do at this point, make sure those dates are available, and then want to work with, okay, if they're available, so then at the next point, you need to confirm the prices with you, because you said there might be an increase in fall, come to an agreeable price, present that contract at the next meeting for signing for approval.
Perfect, Josh has got it.
Is there a way that we can get a tentative agreement, just because I really don't wanna have to wait for another month to put the dates out, because we'll be like 60 days out from the event?
Like, if we can for sure get like the May event.
Under contract.
Well, but what I don't wanna do is get the May event under contract and then have an increase, a significant increase in October. I wanna be able to plan the whole year.
What is gonna be? In case you have a price available for the fall that you could share now and put it on the floor.
Well, that was something that I was gonna wanna discuss with everybody. It's up to everybody else as to we want to increase those prices for rental or we wanna keep them the same.
What is the price currently?
I'm believing that for the entire grounds rental, it's 500 a day. And then each building is separate after that.
So we had 1,600
Plus utilities,
plus utilities.
which ended up being like about $1,000.
Okay.
Yeah, close to that.
And I definitely understand, like, that's a huge value. When I came in, I was like, holy smokes, that's really inexpensive. So I definitely understand like a future increase and we're open to that. But this year, honestly, like just coming off of the year that we came off of, I mean, we lost our asses. So we would love to do this event again, but we gotta
continue to grow it and get,
Yeah.
you know, get this new location.
learn things and we want to continue to invest in the event.
I make a motion that we leave it the same, because to me, it's about the county, it's about growth, it's about bringing people here. If you charge $300 more, big deal, but if you can bring people to stay in the hotels, that's what it's all about. So
And all the hotels were full that weekend.
that's, to me, my 2 cents, if I mean anything, but
And that is our goal.
That's what it's
to,
about.
you know, like our goal is to help the community and, help each business, you know, along the way, so.
Does Richland County get room tax? For
That'd be
the
a-
stays in hotels, like goes into the county's general fund, I'm not sure on that.
That'd be a party wager.
I think it does.
Yeah.
Yes. So if people were to come to his event, staying in rooms, we would still get money going to the general fund. Oh, okay.
So, and then, Carrie, is talking with Marty, like, so Grandpa Verlin used to get benefits too from the state for out of county residents coming in for events and out of state events. So we do plan to meet with Marty. Unfortunately, his schedule was, it didn't work out today, because we were in town meeting with a bunch of people, but we're planning to meet with him, in the near future, and he will have definitely some solutions to help benefit the area as well through the tourism side of it.
You should be able to get some money too for tourism dollars.
I know how the township benefited from it. I don't know the numbers. But yeah, either way, I mean, we wanted to benefit the town, so. And the area and utilize the grounds. I mean, the grounds have been kind of sitting idle, not fully, but for a little while. And I feel that it's good to just continue events out there. It's a beautiful facility and it's definitely worth utilizing. You guys definitely do a good job on the upkeep on it and we like it.
There's a motion by Scott,
I'll second it.
or seconded by Julie. Motion was to leave the fees for the grounds to be the same, not raise or charge any extra. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Does this go on now to finance and personnel to make the final decision, or?
No, at this point, you'd have to make a motion to approve the contract between them to utilize those grounds. You settled on the prices, and then you have to make a motion to accept.
I make that motion to accept the contract. Got it.
I will write it up.
We got a motion
Work
by
on the
Scott to
details.
go ahead and to work on a contract with Hub City Dirt Drags. And is there a second?
I'll second.
Second that with Julie Fleming. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries.
So at this point, they would be able to start their advertising then, since we just approved that,
Yeah.
even though the contract isn't signed.
We have a regular grounds contract that basically I just meet with them, they'll
Okay.
go over it.
Yeah, I mean, I have like
Contract together, they're
good faith.
reviewed, it's signed, it's done, it doesn't, I don't believe it even has to go to county board because it's a ground use contract.
Okay. So once that contract is signed, then we can start doing advertising. Okay.
Correct.
Which you could do very quickly.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Yeah, we can get it.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you for that. It's, only.
Yeah, thank you so much for being so easy to work with.
Thank you for organizing those events out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be good, and it's definitely a safer environment than what I was doing in Hub City. I mean, definitely love Hub City and where it started, but, it grew enough that, safety is our number one concern, and you guys got a perfect facility, so.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
See you guys later.
Yeah, see, I'll send you that.
Sounds good.
I got the guy.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. You guys, thanks, John.
Have a good night.
You guys too.
Agenda item number 8, Southwest Pullers.
This is our contract for this upcoming year. And I wanted to just take the chance to stop in and, talk about the events for the fair next year and kind of see if, what the interest would be to have Southwest Pullers come back to the fair again and, discuss kind of what some of the, if there's any results from the Fair Board Convention on, other events, ideas. Our contract classes have stayed the same. The total price has just changed from 8,500 to 8,600 is the total for everything. All classes and all of our workers is 8,600 this year. And it's only up $100. We increased a few of our staff pay. One thing I suggest, we've done it on Friday and Saturday night. I think both work, for, Southwest Pullers. One thing on Saturday night, if you're looking for an event for Saturday night, what we could do there is look at having our start time at like 5 p.m. We have 10 classes. There's one additional class that I want to add as a promoter's choice class to this. That would be at no additional charge. And if we pulled on Saturday from like 5 p.m., I think we would go until 10:30. And people would be at the fairgrounds starting at like 3 in the afternoon if our poll started at 5. So just one thought I had to get people on the grounds as far as pullers, spectators and fans earlier in the afternoon and then till that 10 p.m. mark to try and be done sooner, kind of to correlate a little more with when the fair closes. Might be a way to kind of just bring more people in throughout the whole afternoon and night, or Friday night, we would look at starting at 6 o'clock, I think is a good start time. Start at 6 on Friday, if Friday's an option. So that's kind of the speech there. We've really liked what we've done the last couple of years and hope we can be back there again. So just wanted to see if there's any feedback or what you all have discussed from fair convention or other ideas that are brewing for this year. Ideally, it'd be awesome to decide tonight, but I also know that if we can decide by the next meeting, that would be probably okay too for me. That's all I have. Other than discussion then.
Very good.
Thoughts, ideas.
My only thing with the times, and that's something I'll talk about, I know that like Friday, our carnival doesn't start until 5 p.m. And that's because of hours with them, so that even if we have people coming in at that time, their workers are not there at that time, but after, outside of our vendors, a whole lot of them do. That's the only thing I can think about. Along with that, what would the deal with the polling sled be?
And that would be an additional contracting fee through them as last year, which I can help organize or correlate the communication, I guess, for that. And then, so that would be a separate pay, a separate check to us and to them that night then as well, same as last year. And I think it'd be the same person is still doing that, so I would reach out to him again as my first pick.
How much was that last year?
15, should have been 1,500. Right, or 16. 15, does 15 sound right?
It was either 15 or 2,000.
Yeah. I think it's been 2,000 in the past, and we should have been 1,500 with that guy last year. There's 1,500 is the guy from Johnny Peterson. And it should stay the same. The sleds from the south are usually 1,800 or 2,000, so I usually try to go with him.
Did you say John? You said John?
Johnny Peterson with the Iron Horse.
It's usually a little bit lower on Friday.
Yeah, yep, so we try to go with him if he's available and willing.
Where is your numbers for classes? I mean, that overall, I think, continues to dwindle, right? I mean, the amount
Right.
in each class.
Yeah, it kind of fluctuates. We had kind of a surge in our diesel truck numbers last summer that kind of picked up to even things out again, but at our typical full events, we expect about 75 vehicles. 75, we've had as many as about like 90, 92 at Boscobel. So Boscobel, Elroy, Richland Center are our three kind of main attended ones where we see that at least 75 to 80. We would expect, and that takes, and we've been going about 3 minutes per vehicle. Our average time, which at 75 would be, it's about 3.25 hours, 3.5 to 3.25 hours is what our length of the show would be.
I'll be honest, the one thing that concerns me with bringing the Hub City stuff and polls, you got 3 polls in it, you know what I mean, as far as numbers. And I have no idea, I'm not the numbers guy of the county.
Yeah.
Of, over $10,000 invested, and we run the numbers, and I've watched the numbers forever.
Yeah.
It never comes close to paying for itself, so
Mhm.
that's just me as a taxpayer.
Yeah.
I know in entertainment, and
Yeah.
you get that same crowd as to me.
Yeah.
Have some, so I get all of it. It's just the money part, and, we've talked about in this committee of trying other things. I know some of them went to the convention, and everything's so expensive, and I get that, we
Yeah.
talked to try and bull ride in one night for 2 hours,
Yeah.
and it's 25, 30 grand, so
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I don't know the direction where the county wants
Is
to go.
going, yeah.
Money.
We haven't even figured out what our full entertainment's gonna be throughout the night, so it'd be premature to sign a contract. I would give it to you. Maybe by next month, we can bring it back to table to talk about.
Yep. Yeah, that works for me. We'll try to set our schedules by like the beginning of March, I guess, timeframe, so that would align with what we want to do for our kind of our advertising or schedules.
So just an understanding for me, Friday night, May 9th, October 10th, your help coordinate with the Hub City group. Is
Yeah,
it still those class, I mean, are they still all Poland probably?
yeah,
Anything else?
it's a different, what they do, they pull a little bit more from a broader geographic. So it's not an exact copy of these classes.
Right.
They cherry pick some of our classes out of here and then some from from Badger State basically is what they want to do. So that, and then that's kind of where those events are, just like, there's the pullers just decide on their own to come attend those. And so then what's different than with Southwest is that they're pulling for points at the fair night. So the puller turnout is more guaranteed for the fair. But then the fans are is the unexpected number at the fair, to where their event is they expect the fan, their event is more geared to get the fan attendance. And then they just rely on whoever shows up to do the polling and the racing.
And again, just so that the committee number, that everybody knows,
Yeah.
you have 8,600 and then 1,500 for a sled.
But yeah,
And then it's still on us as a committee, as a county, to get the chisel plow, to get the water, to get all the workers to put the pole on.
yeah.
So there's a ton of money and prep that this committee has had. Jason Kleppe,
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Coe, different ones that are involved with bowling that always coordinated that and spent the whole week getting
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
That we don't have anymore, just so everybody knows too.
Yeah. Yep, so that is one, yeah, that is one key thing too, is that after you would decide to go with this, then the next step for you guys would be to secure the person to do that physical work, to prep the surface for us. Mhm. So, yeah.
Good talk. I mean,
We have.
Yeah, and that's where I'll leave these contracts with the ones I passed out for you guys to have for the following meeting and have that in to discuss again and then you can just let me know the outcome of it. If I don't know if I make it to the next meeting or not. I think might be in winter tractor pulling, I think, maybe that week. So, yeah, no, that's all good with me. We'll see what, but if there's any questions along the way or that meeting too, you could just call me or text me or whatever you need.
What is the promoter's choice class that?
The promoter's choice was designed for like where you guys could pick a class of your own to have that night. And then we would facilitate the sign up and payout. And then that's like at no additional charge for you guys. We would charge the pullers a different entry fee for that. So, and a lot of
What
people,
would be an example of one?
a lot of people use that for a smaller, like a more of an antique type farm or a non-turbo farm tractor class that we don't offer for points. But the local area, there's a lot of those pullers. Or it's for a puller that's helping the event with the track. But we don't have a class for them, so the promoter adds a class specifically for people that are involved in putting the pole on, so they can still be involved.
Bro, you got classes for like tractors that are just out in the field plowing, they bring them in, that's,
Yeah.
You already have
yeah,
that class?
Not necessarily, no, we don't have like a true off the farm class, so that's where that comes into play to help if there's a specific kind of little group of people right from this neck of the woods, wherever we go, that's what they'll add an additional class for the locals or for people that are involved. So yeah, that's all I have, and once you guys get back to her, continue on. Appreciate the interest and the attention again. You guys have a good one. Thank you.
Agenda item number 9, convention overview.
to the convention. It was my first one. It was fun. It went well. I got to make a lot of, connections with other fairs and hear a bunch of other ideas, for a wide variety of things. But we ended up meeting up with Mr. Ed's, and got the contract from them. Basically, everything is about the same. Nothing went up in charges or anything. The only thing that they added to their contract was that we do have to do like an official survey of the grounds beforehand, to make sure they're
It's
under.
underground.
Yeah.
You already do all of that, right?
We do.
So like when they put their rides at, when they put their campy and their stakes go in the ground, their
Marketing
games and stuff,
Yes.
they want all that underground done.
Yep.
And really what I forgot to mention to them, this is off point, like we can call Digger's Hotline. They said, oh, you just gotta call Digger's Hotline. Well, they'll come in and they'll do the main line from outside of the thing right to where the meter's at. And then from the meter and beyond, that's all on us.
Private utilities at that.
Yeah, so the only thing, like, Scott's generous enough to help us with that, 'cause he's got the knowledge and the expertise in that, but, we also got water lines too. I don't think yours can do water lines or not, so that's another thing that we gotta look for, maybe the gas line too.
But we do have the maps for water, but yeah, all the stuff that we converted to underground, we mark, because the primary metering for the fairgrounds, meters actually out on the pole at the road. And then we brought it in underground to get rid of those hazards with the overhead rides. Air max was close to the primary for the meters.
Another thing that we talked about with Mr. Eds was possibly doing a sensory awareness hour, before the actual grounds open up to the public, and basically making it so that like all sounds are off other than, the warnings on the rides and everything. But we haven't completely decided on a date for that because according to the numbers, Sunday's gonna be our slowest day, so they were suggesting we do it on Sunday. However, we were also thinking possibly like a Friday. But the issue with that is that we don't know how transportation would work on a Sunday, even though it's our slowest day. But on a Friday, it'd be easier because then we have public transportation open to all those who want to come. So I'm not sure if you guys have any suggestions for that I can get back to them. It's
I would strongly suggest a Sunday. Friday is the first opening night of the fair. That's when everybody's coming in, getting set up. That's what everybody's looking forward to. So that one would be a harder one to accommodate to. Sunday, if you talk to the right people, I'm sure they could do something to accommodate transportation for those individuals. That'd be my recommendation.
You had it on Friday, didn't
I can't remember.
I think we had it on a Friday because it was so quiet as far as,
Friday afternoon because
Yeah.
the fair, you don't own the five, right?
yeah,
So prior to
right.
the ride, all that.
Yeah, before they started the rides, that's what we did.
What did you learn with, why we open up at Friday at 5:00?
Some of it had to do with the hours of the workers, and some of it also had to do with that it costs $7,500 an hour for them to keep the rides running, which is how much they have to make in ticket sales. And we don't necessarily make that on the days before Saturday. So they are very generous and we love our fair, but that's why they don't open up for those extra hours beforehand, is because it's actually a cost for them to do that. Now, if we could promise more.
Well, don't you have to be careful with the workers too and how many hours that they can actually work?
I think the workers one is the hard driving force for them.
Yeah.
The hours they can. work.
They were able to, they were very pleased with the amount of workers that they were able to get this year, so.
Is there school that day, that Friday?
Two of the schools in the district have canceled, and that's Ithaca and Center. But all the other like 4 districts that we know of do not.
Were we considering the group homes as well on
I thought
that?
so.
We were gonna-
I thought so.
Anything else, Erica, that you wanna talk about?
And outside of that, for other contracts, we also got Sound on Wheels, which is our sound system people. So nothing's changed in their contract. It's the same from years past. So unless you guys have any issues with them.
What was that for? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Our sound system people.
Sound, okay.
So like throughout the entire weekend, they do the speakers and everything.
PA system.
Yeah. So everything's about the same with that. Otherwise, for other entertainment that we were looking at, I did go look at some of the ideas, and one of the things that we were looking at was another concert if we were interested. One of the people that we saw was this younger girl who's from Nashville.
She's originally from,
She works out in Nashville, but she's from Ohio.
right.
But she would provide her own stage, her own sound, all of that stuff. Like we would have to worry about none of that, which was over half of the price of the concert last year. And then she also does like line dancing, and she performs and everything, and that's for $7,500. So that's an idea. Otherwise, I know we also talked about doing a demo derby. I'm not sure what the odds are of that, if we know anybody for that, if we still want to do that ourselves, because I know that was in the talks. I'm not sure how much that would be. So, and I'm still trying to figure that out. I did look at bull riding, and like it was said, it's very expensive. The group that I talked to was $19,500, and that was cutting us a deal because we live close by. So, and our budget, entertainment budget, is roughly $24,000 again. That's without sponsors. I'm not sure how many sponsors we're gonna get. So as of right now, that's kind of out of the picture in my opinion. But those were like the big things I was looking at right now. There was also a lumberjack show that I ended up getting some of the information for from last year, and I did check in, and they are available all of those days. And they had a bunch of different packages. There's a grandstand package that for like an hour and a half, and then another half an hour separate show. It's like $6,000 to $8,000. But then they also do smaller shows throughout the day. That's like 2 or 3 smaller shows. So this is just difference between that and the grandstand show. But that would also be a bit more budget friendly for something new that might bring people in, especially in this area. But I'm not sure what y'all's opinions are for what I should start looking at more.
You're having
I personally think demo fills the grandstand, truck pulled down, and you go with high mileage and tradesmen because they're local and they have a following, if you're gonna do a concert. You can put any name out there, and if it's not Post Malone or Morgan Wallen, you're gonna get 30 people. And that's nobody's fault. That's just the way people work, because
They
unless
did
it's a
know
big name.
her name, like last year, that there was 2 big killers. One, the weather, the temperature
Yeah.
was just got awful. A lot of people wanted to stay for the concerts, it's too darn cold. The second is, no matter how much advertising posters went out, people just didn't know who she was.
So my hesitation right now at the concert is the stage sound and lighting. We got away with a really good deal last year. The stage we can get for probably another $2,500, but the sound and lighting, we got it for about $4,500. It's not gonna stay near that this year because there was a lot of deliberation with that, and apparently they give us a very wrong quote, and it should have been upwards of $8,000, $10,000 for that sound and lighting alone.
I'm pretty sure high mileage brings their own.
I don't know which does.
They have their own stuff. I'm just saying for money wise, I don't know.
Yeah.
They just have a big following. Wherever they go, there's a lot of people that follow.
Everybody.
Who? Tradesman, Mark Millers.
Sad news to tell you, they're disbanding.
Oh, that could be. I was just throwing it out there. That was just my opinion.
I work with, not Mark, but
Which one?
Lydia Wallace, at Wallace.
Which group though?
Tradesman.
Oh, that's okay. High mileage is.
That's what Lydia was telling me, that they're splitting up, I guess that band is.
You know how much they charge?
Sleepy.
Like 3? I'm pretty sure when I talked to Spanky, he's got us down next year. He said he did
I thought you said that you penciled them in last year.
last year.
You know, if you're gonna do Friday or Saturday.
No.
Would have to reach back out.
I think you need
You couldn't come last year, but.
But I didn't know, I think he saved it because he wants to play here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's just been this and that.
Okay.
I think that's a good one to investigate into. I think we need to take more time on Derby, because that is a big crowd drawer.
Huge.
I agree with that.
So do I look for somebody who does it? Because I know that Crawford has people to do that.
A few people that were in the circuit, stuff Scott and I do, so we can do some more asking around, see if we can come up with that.
I'd even call Jason Cox, even though me and him had our differences. I would reach out to Jason. But he's a big demo guy.
Was it?
Well, the Homer boy, the 2 young kids, their presentation was great. They were asking for the moon and they didn't have anything to prove. They doubled up on what Joe did for us forever. I mean, if they'd come in and said we do it what West Side did,
Well,
I would have probably voted yes, but they tried to double what Joe did. They went to 13,000, we were getting done for 6,500.
And we could,
Yeah, okay.
we could talk to Brandon Adams too, cause
And he
he was
said he
part
would
of
do
it. Yeah. So,
Or try to organize it.
so between that and, your band and then maybe investigate a lumberjack show. I know a lot of schools would take the students up to the Dells, and that was part of the big thing, and that they said there's a lot of adult funny humor, but it's kid friendly, it's a good time.
I've had a lot of people come to me with the lumberjack show idea, and given I just re-looked at those prices, I was actually kind of shocked that it was cheaper than I thought.
I know, we've looked at that several years. It's just, a lot of times it's not a grandstand event.
Right.
And then it ties up, you know, they got the water for the log roll. And if you do anything else, how do you get rid of the water? How do you know, those are the logistics part of it, how we made it work. Because
We wanted to, we could do that as like another grandstand show for the $6,000, for like Thursday night, bring in that crowd for the free gate night, just so that they have more to come in for, and then hopefully they ride the rides more, because they do still make up an income off that.
it'd just be to understand logistics, how much water there is, where's the water go, we're gonna have a poll or a demo and flood stuff and all that kind of stuff.
We really wanted to, we could also do it on the Sunday for the half gate, and give people a reason to come at the very end of the fair. Because by that point, people are usually burnt out, so.
They come that though, I mean.
Yeah, by
Sunday's tough.
Sunday's tough.
Packer game, usually opening weekend, and
Yeah, that's.
we've even done the
Need a
polls.
treat Sunday.
it's just tough because everybody wants out.
Yeah, they're taking animals out. Everybody's chomping at the bit to get moving.
They are.
So I think we just, look at the Derby as a strong contender, we look at the band, and then we'll pick out some other ones and bring some numbers back to like next month's meeting to really look at. You and I can sit down and take some time for you.
Good deal, because I really wanted to get entertainment done by March, because that's our deadline to get free advertising through the city.
And Scott and Carrie, it'd be good to, all of us to sit down and really talk about these things and, in an official setting, so we can kind of bring some stuff to the table.
Another thing that I wanted to bring up was an idea that came during the convention, based off of talking to other people and, thinking about other ways to advertise and such. And one of my ideas was to possibly, if you guys are up for it, is to put together a $500 scholarship that we can put out to all of the school districts in the area. That way we're giving back to the community through our, future people who are going to college and investing in them. But also then I can go out to all of these schools, go to a pep rally, because that's free. And then just speak to them on the idea of like, you know what, you guys can have a scholarship, have them write an essay on what the fair means to them. Then we hear their opinions on like the things they remember, the things that they look forward to. And then on top of that, I can also mention to like the younger students, like, even though they're not in 4-H, they can still enter the fair and under an open class. They can show off their favorite art project that they did for school or something like that, and then get everybody a lot more involved, because all of these children, every household in the county, their children are required to go to school. So we're getting to them, and a lot of them are going to go back home and talk to their parents about it. So then we're really getting it out there that all of this is going to happen. And then we're also, getting a good cause and hopefully bringing in more people that will hopefully pay off that scholarship. And I don't want to do that unless I have y'all's approval on doing the official scholarship.
I don't know if you'll be able to offer, you're not gonna be able to offer it this year. You're gonna have, you're gonna have to have what you're gonna require for, what they gotta do in order to get this. Kids are already starting to fill out scholarships now. We've
Right.
got all our scholarships
They
out.
get them out
so
in
it's a
May.
little short a time.
I will say, just based off of me being in high school 6 years ago, that when I did my scholarships, I didn't look at any of them until the day before they were due. And I wrote 10 of them that night, and they weren't due until April.
But they give you the list way in advance.
Yeah.
And so if it doesn't make the list.
Maybe just like permission to proceed forward with the idea of.
Well, we could do that, yeah, but I think it's too soon to.
Well, even if I started talking to them like, hey, years future, we're gonna start doing this, so keep an eye out on it.
Mm-hmm.
But then still being able to go into all the pep rallies, because I feel like that's gonna be our best form of advertising right now.
I agree, letting these kids know to
enter things into the fair is a good thing.
And then also then
And
I'm
if they get
speaking to all
free
the
admission.
clubs. Well, then I'm speaking to all the clubs as well and being like, you know what, if you want volunteer opportunities, I can probably find something for everybody that they'd enjoy. So,
I just think the criteria has to be out there and you need to hash it over, but before
Right.
you just.
Needs to be properly executed before you rush into it.
Right.
My opinion would be that you need to go to the finance committee, the county board. I know if we could take $250 or wherever, 500 of tax levy dollars and use it towards a scholarship. How we're doing that, how does that affect any other thing that we're doing? Like, that is a lower cost, but now we're using levy dollars to fund somebody's education. What about other people that don't have that and they say, county, can you give me this money to do that? You did it for this person. I just want to make sure that we're kosher and that we're good with using levy dollars for that part of it. Some of those fairs are independently run. They're not run by government entities. They're run by their own. That's why they're able to do that. I just want to make sure that the finance committee is okay with us using levy dollars to offer that.
100%. I know if you don't, then you do one for one, then you have to do it for everybody, and it's no matter what you do, so you have to be very careful, this is set a precedence. You do it for everything then.
What about seeing if a company or a business or company in the area would donate money toward the scholarships? So it's really coming from the community versus, it's just that the fair would be
Yep.
wants to distribute it.
I would also
That's just an option. I agree with Carrie. It needs to go to the executive and finance and also the county board, but that would be one other option.
So then it sounds like she has agreed support to proceed into investigating this and working out the angles.
Yeah.
okay. Also, this one I don't have a whole lot of information on. I was hoping I could email back by now, but I don't, but I do want to just put it into everybody's heads. Because I'd like to restart it, but we used to have the Fairs to the Fair program for the county. At some point it stopped. I don't know when it stopped. I did find a bin today of pictures of previous fairs in my office today. But that is something that I'd like to start doing again, and I know it'd be a lot of work. I asked for the requirements, but I want to know what people's thoughts are based off of previous times, and if that's something that everybody wants me to continue looking into, or.
We ran into, no one was interested. We were recruiting, trying to get somebody to apply, and that's why it went away. The interest went down to, if one person, there was no contest, we just appointed somebody. And at the last time, I think we begged somebody to just put their name on it, to wear the sash, and it just didn't work.
I think it's a.
That's what happened, or that's why it ended.
Well,
We did
also-
not have like a,
We also had to give a scholarship for that. Where did the scholarship come from? Money for that? I don't
there
remember.
was quite a bit of money, and they had a big doings out there. Ron Fruit was involved for a while.
Yeah.
There was all there was a pretty big cost, the line item that was cut because of it. But that's why it went away. The last year, we didn't have anybody, wasn't there a mini and an older one and?
Yeah, we used to
Tiger
have,
one?
yeah. We
There
used
was
to have
like
three-
divisions of
Three
age.
people and we had the actual and the runner up and then the.
Yeah.
Little one.
And then the one, I don't remember what, it don't matter, but they took it to an extreme of going to every parade and borrowing vehicles from town. It got to be a complete chaos for the committee, so. That's where it ended up, or why it went away.
Do a lot
It
of
was a
fairs,
lot to manage.
do a lot of fairs do that?
At the convention, they had they had quite a few people there. If you look at the Wisconsin Fairs to the Fairs Facebook page, you can see all the contestants that were involved there, but not every county has one. However, a majority of the counties have one. Just a thought for future notice. Like I said, I can look up more requirements for it. I did reach out. But it could also be a lot of more exposure to. That'd be somebody who would run the social media too. and get more like advertising for that. They can travel around, they can stuff parades, not saying all of them, but good, some of them. So just a thought to start thinking, because I know that if we don't now, it's probably not going to, you know.
Have you had any interest from the 4-H groups that they want to then come back? I mean, I've seen a few, but they.
One comment on Facebook that made me really start rethinking about it, but I ended up posting on Facebook during the convention something about the fairs. And Gretchen Cable ended up going on and commenting, asking if we're gonna bring it back in time. So, there's at least one person. She kind of scares me, but.
It was kind of run by a separate committee than our committee. There was things brought to us, but there was actually a whole separate committee that took care of that contest and everything. These reported back to us.
Yeah, and then if I recall, they just got so busy with their jobs too, that it just got to be too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
So. That's a feedback.
Okay.
It's a history.
Otherwise, for the rest of that, all I got left is, you know, I'm also looking at restarting doing competitions for the fair, because I know we had like the quilting competition 2 years ago.
It was the, barn quilts
Yeah.
that we did, and
Yeah.
I had people asking about that again, but it was just.
Yeah.
No coordinator.
Given that I had no idea what I was, you know, getting myself into, I didn't really think about competitions last year. This year, I do want to start doing that again. Otherwise, for other vendor things I'm looking at are like getting some of the dance companies around here, seeing if they want to do like a show in the Connections building on the stage there, or like a vendor getting like a robotics team to come in and do like a little thing in one of the vendor booths to get that building going more. Those are some of the ideas I've been having, but if you guys have any suggestions, please bring them to me.
Baroque does some local band stuff, high school band maybe, if they'd be interested, that are really into it. But yeah, them are cool things. I know when my daughter was in dance, we went to Blue River, we went all over Betty Hay stuff, so they might be right into that. Those dance groups all year round.
Yeah. The one up at the fairgrounds, what's that? one?
Monica
RC
serves.
dance, RC dance and gymnastics.
Yeah.
Monica might do it, and Heidi might, or Holly might do it.
Holly,
Yeah, that's true.
Holly is dance elite.
Mhm.
Two of them.
So that's something you can look into.
From the dance off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's all I got from that. Not sure if you guys have anything from the convention that you want to bring up.
It's a convention, but they didn't think they had so many vendors there. Because they didn't, you know, in the past for acts and that.
So I do know that like children's entertainment, that was one of our things last year, that we brought the balloon artist Peter. I know that his total came out to like 4,200 for the 4 days we have him.
Are you gonna have him again?
That's up to y'all if you guys want me to look at redoing that.
Half knots? What is
Peter John Lindsay's half
Yeah.
and half not.
He doesn't, I mean,
He was goofy.
well, I know. But.
I mean, is it something that we bring back entertainment ideas next month after?
I think it's best to bring back the
Quite a few
entertainment ideas
things
next
we
month.
did.
Put it on the table now, it's just good discussion
Yeah.
points and
Yeah.
really.
I mean, that balloon guy, I know. He's a big draw.
He's a
for
big
the
draw. He
kids.
does good at our fair.
Yeah,
He does.
he does. He does a fantastic job. Kids love him.
I know that from the electric safety thing, we'd like to plug that more, but not have him scheduled at the same time.
Yeah,
Because they could not hear us. We need to bring a mic, but he had his thing going on and they couldn't hear the guys talking about the electric safety demo that we set up there. So
Mhm.
we'd like to do that a few more times or something.
Do you want to do that again?
Yeah, we're gonna do it again. I might not.
I'll put you on
Guys-
the schedule.
The guys are gonna do it, but, just so it's quiet in there, because he was doing his thing and cracking jokes and kind of over. drowned it out.
I did not get about that for a couple an hour, 2 hour break.
Yes.
Just because I know this ran all day, doesn't have a specific time,
Sure.
so.
In the weather's good, you can't be inside, really.
Well, no, there's no reason. I mean, yeah, the blue guy used to have that vehicle that he drove, that old antique vehicle or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Well, not too expensive to drive it up here, so. That's why he didn't bring it anymore.
How rude.
What if you, is there? a
Anything
place-
else on convention?
What, if you would put a little, like a tent outside the project building connection, is that gonna interfere with the rise in that, you know?
I don't know. I know that last year we had these vendors show up without talking to me first.
Oh, yeah.
And then did a whole electrical overload and everything and convinced them to move their own pieces because they had a vendor cart there. And he was like, oh, I'm supposed to be here for the fair, which was not true. So I don't know about that. 'Cause we had somebody there, but
So they hear
Is he told to not come back this year?
I did tell him.
You did?
I did.
He was not allowed one other time, if I recall. He was asked
I
to
think
leave.
so.
He was asked to leave. Oh, well.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, we
Well,
got-
on agenda item number 10, gate prices.
Okay. So, I believe last time in October, and I share the same sentiment as get rid of the gate prices and be able to get people into the fair is free. I mean, there's 1,000 different versions you can try to come up with as far as different prices on this day, that day. It's just not uniform across the board. It is a nightmare for everybody involved in that process. So you either set the gate prices uniform throughout the whole event, keep it very simple, or we do away with gate prices all the way and just let them come in and charge for the events at the grandstands. Now, to do that, it was looked at as the money that the fair gets from tax levy that would not have to be repaid back to the county. We took it to the administrator. She seemed at the time pretty on board with the idea. We were supposed to have more discussions with finance to make sure we could make that work. But unfortunately, that administrator has resigned and she has moved on. So now with Mr. Kalish and myself temporarily leading the way on this, I will bring it to the table because I do believe in that. But we have to sit down financially first and make sure the county's okay with not getting that money back. And then we'll have to take it full resolution, but we have to bring a couple people on board with it first. So I will be proceeding with that at the earliest convenience, but obviously with just losing the administrator and starting into this, we have a lot of cans of worms open and we will get to it before the fair and get a decision made with ample time to address it.
So we're done with it. Yeah, until you figure it out, it don't. You know
So
what I
I can, so I can figure out the tax levy that the fair gets, whether we have to pay it back or not. That's a big thing.
Cause I think on average, we did the numbers every year, it's $30-some thousand that that gate creates, so
Yeah.
basically you just be letting that go. I don't know.
There was also something else brought up about charging for tickets or events and their tax wise. Does anybody remember that part of the conversation from last year?
About charging for what?
Events and the grandstands.
Yeah.
Wasn't there something tricky?
Then you have to pay sales tax.
Tax on it.
So that's how or why we thought about that when we adjusted the gate price. And we got rid of the workers in the grandstand, because we used to do $5 to get in, $7 to get in the demo, and then you had to pay tax on that $7. So then we went to $8 at the gate, and without paying tax, it averaged out to where. And then we didn't have the complaint from every fair goer that they keep diving in their wallet every time they want to go into something. And everybody liked it, that they paid once and then they added everything free. So I don't know what the win is there. It's just that, I guess, can the fair sustain $35,000 loss or donation is basically what you're giving up.
And I don't know what,
Right.
I just was asking Sandy what you guys do the rodeo for Sunday to work, or
Oh,
for
sorry.
a donation or whatever.
That's the whole. For the gates, to work the gates?
It's 500 or the
Pretty
gate,
sure it's 500.
500 on Sunday.
For
500 on Sunday, okay.
It was a little,
Wasn't
it
it
used
about
to be a little bit more,
Does that mean
1,700.
Sunday, you're
The
only bringing in
full week.
$2,000 from it.
Right.
It's not worth people sitting there, I mean, no.
Well, and to, honestly, like we talked about last year, and to have people out there at 7 in the morning when the only people are coming in to feed their animals.
Right.
Why are we trying to get $5 or $10 out of somebody that's just in there to feed their steer or whatever they're doing?
Well, the other component was that gate workers. It's like pulling teeth to get
It's a huge
anybody to
thing.
do that, and then formal training to them so they actually knew what to do, because next thing you know, wrong wristbands, colors were going out, or they weren't charging correctly, and it was just a constant problem. So we're trying to eliminate that, so it's either like the county donates the tax levy to the event, we don't have to pay it back, then you're good. Or you have to do something to reduce the hours and the times of the gates and make uniform costs across the board. I think the first thing that we all agreed upon last time was, let's see if we don't have to pay that tax levy.
And the only other thing we talked about was if you have something like, say, the demo on a night or whatever, charge for gates that day, that night.
Yeah.
They're getting into the fair, then they're going to the grandstand. I mean, that would.
I don't know what the right answer is, yeah, because I mean, that's where the
And you can get away. with
grandstand's full and then
Yes.
$7,000 to put the demo on. We obviously made that back for people that come, so then it was zero. We put something on it, it didn't cost anything. With the truck and tractor pull for years, by the time you're done, you've got $12,000 to $13,000 invested, and you're getting back about $3,000.
Yeah,
So in years past, the fair committee, this committee would bust our butts off. We'd go get the food on our own. We'd do that food stand and we'd create $3,500 to $4,500 to help just offset a loss. We knew right now in September, we're gonna lose to work our tails off, plus do everything else to just try to help out the deficit that tractor pull created for the 300 people that showed up, so.
Exactly, because I mean, everybody that comes follows I'm sorry for where I'm sitting.
it's like, here's the on here.
I mean, that's the hardest part about the tractor pull is the people that come to the tractor pull come in with the pullers, they're in the demo area and they leave with the pullers. They're not utilizing the actual fairgrounds except for going to get something quick to eat or use the restroom or drink or something like that. And then you look at the grandstands, I hate to say it, but during the concert, there was the same number of people in grandstands for the concert as what you see during the tractor pulls. Everybody is on the other, everybody's on the other side of the pit area, 'cause again, that's where all the action is. So, I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't have a tractor pull by any means possible, that's something to really discuss, but I think we look at what we can actually make money off of and not have to worry about how we're gonna do this, but how we're gonna cover that loss. Right?
Or at least break even.
100%.
Yeah. So,
And I think that beer needs to be sold up in the grandstand if you guys have the demo instead of down the hall. So there's a lot of
We
people-
always used to, we did, right
I
up
think
in
it
it,
was last year.
not last year,
No.
always before we did,
Yeah, right,
right up in front.
yeah. For that handicap section, as we remember.
Mhm.
And a lot of people commented on that.
The demo will fill the grandstand,
Yeah.
it's just following, whatever night you do it, they'll fill it
They'll
up.
be there. And even if it's an afternoon, they'll be there.
that demo was draws.
Yeah, I know.
Seeing mass devastation and a quick show.
Yep.
And you know, another thing, don't get me wrong, but we went to 3 of them this year. When they had the little kids down in those gators and the little,
Yeah, the tractor. Yeah,
and it was just like a half hour before the demo started.
Oh,
It was fun. It was good.
yeah, I'm sure it was cute.
And they put balloons on them, and if the balloons got popped, you were done.
Where did I see that? Somebody must
They
have,
ended up presenting it at the convention quite a few times.
but then somebody had, put. I think it was on Facebook or something. There's, that was it, okay, because somebody had a picture of it on Facebook. That was really,
Kendall had
it
it,
was cute, a video, really.
but they were there.
So,
I'll reach out to Joe and see if he's been removed for a year now. And see if he's got a promoter down there, maybe somebody that'd be interested, that stepped up for him, because he had quite a deal going on, so. See,
Otherwise, like Kendall did their own. I don't know who did it, but.
Vernon County does too, but you gotta have a committee that,
They have a committee that knows what's going on.
yeah,
that's what they're doing.
but we do have some folks that are local that are interested.
So we'll do some program.
And then another thing, it's none of our business, Matt, with the beer for the livestock sale.
What?
Is that on your guys' agenda?
The beer for the livestock stand.
It wasn't on the agenda.
I know, it's fine, but I mean, that's gotta be cashed over for.
So, yeah, on that subject.
Your sales in general, we'll have to talk over for future agenda items.
Yeah.
All your work, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any other future agenda items? All right, motion for adjournment.
I'll make that.
Motion by Scott, seconded by
I'll second it.
I got Julie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Bye, Scott.